Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me today in the CIS Top 20 Control Series presented by Breaking Barrier Leaning Circle powered by Women in Cyber. I'll be talking on the CIS Control number 17, which is Implement the Security Awareness and Training Program. Before we deep dive into this control, let me briefly introduce about myself. I'm Viraj Gandhi. I'm Senior Staff Product Security Engineer at SailPoint. I hold Master's and Bachelor's degree in Computer Science. I have spent a decade in a software development before I plunged into this cybersecurity space. I'm a strong advocate of gender equity at the workplace. I'm also the member of WISIS, Women in Cybersecurity, since 2020, and also among the leadership team for the WISIS San Diego affiliate. My role as a product security engineer is to influence the engineering leaders by partnering with them closely, doing the security review, risk assessment, basically trying to have the security culture across the enterprise. So agenda for today's talk, I'll be talking about the control number 17 to implement a security awareness and a training program. If you are referring to the version 7.1, then it's a control 17, and in the version 8, it is the control 14. I'll cover the control overview, why the control is critical, the benefits of the control, and the safeguard and the tools associated with this control. So to implement the security awareness and the training, every organization has to establish and maintain the security awareness training program. It has been a very critical, never ever before, because of the recent rise in the data breach and the threat landscape changes. There is a constant race between us and attacker to secure our environment, and 95% of the breaches are happening because of the human error, lack of the security awareness. For that reason, in order to develop the security conscious among the workforce in the enterprise to reduce the cybersecurity risk, the security training has been a must and has to be established, maintained at the organization level. So why the control is critical? Like I said, in order to prevent the breaches and the attacks, the security awareness training control is very important. Not having the security control is like keeping the house open with the key to a next door neighbor house, which indirectly it will impact the customer supplier of an organization who is vulnerable to this attack. Also the other organization who are interlinked with the vulnerable organization will also be indirectly be impacted. That's why there is a must need to have the security culture mindset among the employees at the organization. Every employees have the access to the sensitive data, the sensitive controls they deal on day-to-day basis as a part of their job work. They need to understand and be aware about the security and the outcome of those threats. Also, in order to gain the customer confidence by producing a secure product, the security awareness training is a must. It will also help in gaining the leadership place in the market, and for the compliance and regulatory purposes, the security awareness training has been mandated at the organization to do on yearly basis, especially the compliance training, the awareness training are being conducted quarterly or semi-annual basis at the enterprise level. And there are enough technology tooling in place would be a defense for the cybersecurity threats, but we need the security awareness training among the people because they are the first line of a defense and they are the soft target by an attacker. Usually by the social engineering attacks like the phishing attack around the holidays. For that purpose, the social awareness training is much needed. And in order to have the secure development life cycle, the training, the education, security education, it comes in as the first phase of the secure development life cycle, where any engineers, developers touching the code need to have the security mindset, need to be aware about the WAF's top 10 vulnerability, the base security coding practices they need to do before they start touching the code and start implementing of the code. And that also helps in detecting and mitigating those vulnerability risks as early as possible in the development life cycle, and also it will be less disruptive to the release cycle. For that purpose, the security awareness training is critical, and it's much needed as early as possible in the development life cycle. And also across the globe, day and night, billions of the engineers are developing the code. We don't have that many security engineer experts to do the security review. And also sometimes not just we can rely on the automation based on the business functionality. We need to have the security review done manually by the security expert. We cannot grow the army of a security engineer for scaling of an organization. For that purpose, we need to develop a security champions through this security awareness training. The champions will be a SME of that team who have interest and they are passionate about the security, who will influence the other team members to start practicing the base security coding practices, will bring the awareness. And the champions among the team can be the lead engineers, QA engineers, the architects, and that's how we can develop this awareness, influence about the security among the team members of the organization. For any organization who is interested in setting up the security awareness training policy program, they can go through this resources. They have the guideline about the policy, the program to set up the security awareness training. These are good resources. I highly recommend anyone looking to set up the program, please go to either of these resources. There are various training platforms available by various vendors through which you can provide the compliance training on annual basis. You can also provide the WAS top 10 vulnerability, the basic web application security concept training to your developers through that vendor. And most of the platforms, they come up with a gamification, with a leadership board where we can know which team is doing better with the training and which team members are going across about the due date and haven't completed those training. And also you can conduct few hackathon or tournament on regular basis to understand the security mindset of the employees, the developers of the organization. Next, I would like to talk about the implementation group. The CIS have defined, categorized the group in a 3 levels. The implementation group 1, implementation group 2, and the 3. The IG1 is more for an organization with the limited resources and the cybersecurity experts. IG2 is more for the organization who have the decent, moderate resources and the cybersecurity expert to implement those sub-controls. And IG3 is more for the large-scale enterprise who have the significant resources and cybersecurity experience to allocate to implement those sub-controls. The number of the sub-controls requirement for implementation increases based on where your organization is falling into either of this group. Now let's talk about the few safeguards, what the CIS Control17 recommend. So 117.1 talks about performing the skill gap analysis, the behavior, the skills of the workforce of your members through the education, and then setting up the baseline for your awareness training. Second, it talks about delivering those training to fill those skill gaps, to develop that security mindset among the workforce. 17.3, 7.4 talks about implementing those security awareness program as well as updating the contents regularly to make sure the new technology, new threats, education are being provided to the workforce. The web application, these days the API are a key element for a web application, and then the authentication and the authorization are one of the threat attack vectors. So in order to understand how to secure the authentication, do the credential management, why the multi-factor authentication is important, the security awareness training courses should cover those content. That's what the 17.5 is emphasizing. Also, the social engineering, like I said, people are a soft target by an attacker through the phishing attack. So regularly, the social engineering, the phishing attack test should be conducted by an organization to evaluate how the workforce is truly identifying those phishing attacks. That is being covered by the 17.6 sub-control. 7.7 talks about the sensitive data handling, like for fintech, the PCI data. For healthcare, the health-related medical records are very crucial. And in order to prevent from data breaches of those sensitive attacks, the social engineering, the sensitive data handling awareness training should be provided to the workforce, not just about the sensitive data handling, but also about the information disclosure training should be also provided to the workforce. Lastly, about how to identify and report those security incidents. The training should also cover the content around those expect. These are the sub-controls where all the implementation groups has to make sure they are implementing. Lastly, thank you so much for listening to me. I hope this talk was very helpful to you and resourceful to you. Thank you so much.